as I've been long. The Black Lotus clan sends their regards.
Is this a challenge? It's promise!
Your reputation precedes you.
Ha ha! Perhaps, but you're still just a pussy.
Welcome to the motherfucking lady. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Dan Canobio of CompuBox took to his social media to question Mauricio Suleiman about why Sebastian Fundora versus Virgil Ortiz has not yet been ordered, even though both guys acquired WBC titles around the same time in the same year. He said, "Hey WBC, love the USA 250 belt, just bought 4 of them."
WBC 250 belt?
The WBC, in their fashion, came up with another commemorative trinket for this weekend's Abdullah Mason versus Albert Bell fight, the WBC 250 belt, and Dan Canobio was being facetious. He continued, "Why isn't Sebastian Fundora versus Virgil Ortiz being ordered next, considering Ortiz has been the interim for some time now? Thanks, man."
Approximately 2 years. For a perspective, the same year that Sebastian won the vacant WBC title is the same year that Virgil Ortiz became interim champion by beating Sergey Boachuk. To which the WBC responded, "Hello, Dan. This belt is not sold. It's a unique piece for the winner of Saturday. Both Fundora and Ortiz have been on and off injuries and legal matters."
Bullshit.
I would think you received the WBC Daily News and it has always been reported. Send me your email address and we will be glad to send you such daily news.
You know you're never gonna get a straight answer from that fat fuck. The reality of it is, there is no reason that the fight between them should not have happened in late 2024 when both Sebastian and Virgil were free to fight.
Focusing on the WBC's role and why this fight hasn't happened and why you and I should be angry about it, it's because no matter what the fighters and their teams have going on, it's not the WBC's job to bend at the knee whenever they need them to. Their role in this sport is to give it structure, give it a pecking order, and keep the ranks moving along, not to cater to the special interests of every promoter with a sob story.
You're expecting people to believe that between 2024 and now, there was never a good time to order that fight. Is that it? Because of injuries and because of legal matters. Virgil's legal woes didn't start until this year.
When was he injured? When was Sebastian?
Sebastian has that bloody fight with Tim Tszyu, the first one. And afterwards, when he spoke to Cynthia Conte, he said that he wasn't actually injured, his nose wasn't actually broken, and the duration of his suspension was the standard duration, just a matter of weeks.
That same year in 2024, as soon as September, he was available and ready to fight. That's what he said. Verbatim. So there's no real reason that the fight between Sebastian and Virgil shouldn't have been ordered later that year.
So then why wasn't it?
The truth? It's because neither Team Fundora or Team Ortiz want to make that fight, but that's no excuse.
Why not?
Because it's not the World Boxing Council's job to cater to every promoter and every fighter with a sob story. It's not your role to let them do whatever they feel like and have their pick of the litter. Your role in all of this, your primary function, is to keep the ranks moving along, give the sport structure, and making fights happen. And you're not doing that.
Not doing that, you're just proving how fucking useless you are.
You're telling me that in the whole of 2025, there was never a good time to order this fight.
Isn't that when Sebastian Fundora ended up fighting Cordell Booker in a pointless keep busy fight? And isn't that when Virgil fought Erickson Lubin? But at no point in that year was there a good time to order this fight.
Bullshit.
You didn't order it because neither of the two teams wanted you to order it. And the problem is, you're not supposed to cater to them. You're supposed to cater to us.
The boxing fans.
The reason they don't is likely because the World Boxing Council receives cash incentives, kickbacks, to hold off on any orders that might inconvenience the promotion, inconvenience the fighters.
That's unethical.
You're not supposed to have that kind of a working relationship with any of the promoters in the sport. You're supposed to be an impartial arbitrator that makes things happen, a middleman that brings two teams to the table to make a fight whether they want to or not. That's your job, and you're not doing it.
Everybody's getting so bent out of shape that Dana White and Zuffa Boxing have now entered the boxing space pretending that they're the greatest threat to the sport. The greatest threat to the sport is already here, and it's been here. That's why it's stagnated in America.
2 whole fucking years pass, and this fat fucker expects you to believe that there was never a good time to order Ortiz versus Fundora, even when we've seen them fighting other people in pointless fights that we didn't want, that didn't make sense, that don't move the needle.
Never a good time.
Fucking useless, man. Utterly fucking useless.
Men's welterweight news. I'm sure you've heard by now. Romero versus Lopez, WBA welterweight title fight set for August 22nd. Yet another example of how these sanctioning bodies, at least 2 of them, are useless, since Teofimo Lopez is currently coming off a loss to Shakur Stevenson at 140. He's immediately fast-tracked to a title shot at 147, even though there's a mandatory in the queue.
Jack Catterall.
So if you're Jack Catterall, what's the point in climbing up the ranks and fighting in the eliminators if some other guy from some other weight is going to get to fight for the title before you do?
Rolando Rolly Romero was said to be entertaining a tune-up fight for his first title defense, though plans have changed since then. Jack Catterall, who won the WBA secondary title with a career-best points win over Shakram Giyasov,
Standout amateur, unbeaten at the time.
the mandatory challenger before Jack took that spot from him, now it appears the Briton will have to play the waiting game too, as Romero opts for a more lucrative opportunity rather than face his mandatory challenger, all while the WBA watches and lets him. Teofimo Lopez, who lost the Ring Magazine and WBO junior welterweight titles against Shakur Stevenson this past January, had teased another move up in weight after an inconsistent divisional stint. While tempted, the 28-year-old rejected the IBF's request for him to accept a world title shot against Lindolfo Delgado, 24-0 with 16 KOs, after Richardson Hitchens vacated the title. Signing a multi-fight deal with Zuffa Boxing, Delgado has now been ordered to face Russian-based Canadian fighter Artur Byarzlanov, 21-0 with 17 KOs.
That's actually going to be a really good fight.
For the title, with an update on proceedings expected shortly, Lopez's manager, Keith Connolly, said, "A big decision was forthcoming earlier this week, and here it is. Another world title shot and chance to become a 3-weight world champion awaits."
Sam Gordon of the Las Vegas Review-Journal was the first to report Romero versus Lopez were finalizing terms on Monday.
Sam isn't necessarily a boxing scribe, he just covers what big events land in the city of Las Vegas. That being said, we know that boxing news in a very general sense is often nebulous and immaterial, subject to change, many changes in a short span of time, where Sam wouldn't have heard about this unless there were actually something to it. Romero hasn't boxed since his surprise 12-round points win over Brian Garcia in May of 2025. In that way, it's been a year since he last fought, several fights that have fallen through for him. A Pacquiao fight, a Garcia rematch, a Devin Haney unification.
Who's paying for this fight?
I'm not completely sure, but until further notice, we have to assume that there is involvement from the PBC, and they are the ones footing the bill, which isn't necessarily what's best for Lopez, but beggars can't be choosers. He's coming off a lopsided loss, he doesn't have a title, and to get back in position to start making real money again, he's got to bite the bullet. Oh sure, it's an opportunity for Rolly Romero to fight in a big fight against a somewhat big name, but it's more of an opportunity for Teofimo Lopez to face the weakest link at 147 and win a title in doing so, the chance to become a 3-weight world champion. Can he do it?
Rolly is the weakest link?
In some ways, it's actually Ryan, but Rolly isn't much better. He did beat Ryan, though, right?
Right.
Ryan beat Devin, though, so doesn't that make Devin the weakest link?
It's another way to look at it.
Tio's fighting Rolly in a world title opportunity that he didn't earn, that he doesn't really deserve, on the premise that a fight between him and Tio in America sells better than a fight between him and Jack. A fight with Jack The only way that sells is if Rolly travels, and he doesn't want to do that.
You could sell Romero versus Catterall in the UK if Rolly were willing to travel and if the WBA were actually doing their job, but they're not.
Romero versus Lopez it is. Can Teofimo Lopez win? I think there was a time where Teofimo would have been a shoo-in to beat a bum, a fucking scrub like Rolly Romero, a two-time email champion.
There was a time.
But Teofimo is not the young go-getter, the young hotshot that he used to be at 135. At 140, he's looked a lot more human, and why wouldn't he? Fucking lost to George Kambosos before leaving 135. At 140, he blew hot and cold. Some performances were good, others were not. How's he gonna look with Rolly?
Do you trust him to win this fight?
I think it's a question of who do you trust more? What do you trust? Teofimo's token athleticism or Rolly Romero's fundamentals, the improvements that he's made since being trained by Ismael Salas? Who do you think is the stronger puncher of the two? I think most people would go with Rolly as being the more concussive puncher of the two because he's retarded. He's got that retard strength, though still greatly lacking in so many other areas, and the win over Ryan doesn't fool me because Ryan sucks when he's not on his peds.
I don't trust Teofimo Lopez as much as I used to, and it doesn't help the situation that the fight might occur on the PBC side of things where Rolly is the house fighter.
It's an uphill battle for Teofimo Lopez, who is coming off a loss. In spite of all of that, this is an opportunity for him to get back in the winner's bracket and become a champion at a third weight. If he can, he's back on the Ring IQ pound-for-pound list, somewhere in the mid-tier.
And back in position to make big fights happen, though I think he needs to be a bit more strategic moving forward. I don't think if he beats Rolly, he should go for either Devin or Ryan straight away. Nope.
Get another belt. Go after the red one before you go after them.
Liam Pato recently became a two-time two-weight IBF champion by beating Lewis Crocker.
I happen to think if Teo takes care of business at the end of the summer on the 22nd and he beats Rolly, becomes a three-weight world champion, he should look to unify titles with Liam and then target the other guys, the bigger names.
Didn't answer the question, though. Do you trust Teofimo Lopez to beat Rolly Romero? Do you trust him to do the job?
It's a question of what do you trust more, Teofimo's speed and athleticism, or Rolly Romero's fundamentals and his strength?
Teofimo is a fighter that was developed, groomed on the top-ranked side of things, whereas Rolly was developed in the TMT gym over at the PBC in their side of things. Usually, when top-ranked fighters fight PBC fighters, top-ranked fighters win. It doesn't always happen that way. Richard Torres did lose to Frankie Sanchez, but in that same span of time, O'Shaquie Foster did take Stephen Fulton to school, so it still stands. Usually, when top-ranked fighters fight PBC fighters, the top-ranked fighter wins.
So I might lean a little bit towards Teofimo to win this one. Rolly's an aggressive guy, he's got a mean streak, and he's supposed to be strong, whereas Teofimo excels against aggressive fighters. And it's not like he's not familiar with Rolly, he is. They've known each other for years.
Rolly's an aggressive, come-forward guy, and Teofimo does well against aggressive, come-forward guys. So I might have to favor him to win, though he might need a knockout to do it.
But Rolly Romero's been knocked out before. He's been knocked out 2 times. So maybe it happens.
He shouldn't have had to throw the flag in. But because y'all didn't save him, y'all forced him to have to throw the flag in. And he threw the flag in. I don't care what nobody tell me.
A lot is being said about Xander quitting. I'm not gonna say that about that man. Xander could have packed it in a long time ago. Bruh, you check the heart box, you check the toughness box, and because you're not willing to die in there or go out on your shield in the way that people want to see you go out on your shield, that doesn't take anything from you. Because if something happens to Xander, if he gets hit with one shot that opens up a brain bleed or something in his brain and he's not the same, you know what everybody gonna be saying? I'm talking to the fighters too that said he quit. Oh, prayers up for Xander. That's cool. The prayers and them type of moments are needed. But ain't nobody got time for that if that can really be avoided. And you had shown enough.
I thought he fought a great fight for
Up to I say
I
five.
feel like you
to the
disagree
fifth
with me though.
Of course I'm finna disagree with you. Had they stopped in round 5, you saved him from having to do what he had to do in round 7. Come round 7, his body was so banged up. Like I said before in the beginning, his wheel got broken. When your wheel get broken, you give. What does you give mean? I gotta concede to he's a better man, which basically is almost saying I quit because I stopped before the bell rang. Now, I thought, like I said, had they stopped in the 5th round that they should have, we wouldn't have to see him go through that. But they didn't.
Did he quit though? What did he do? Because he quit because he looked at his corner?
No, he didn't quit because he looked at the corner. He quit because he know them body shots on him. He couldn't get away from him. That's why he quit. He waved the flag.
But you can't say that.
I can't say that. I can't say he waved the flag because he should have.
Everybody,
he did the right thing. Bro. He did the right thing to wave the flag because his corner didn't care enough to get him stopped out and get him out of there, so he had to wave the flag. He waved the flag. I'm sorry. He waved the flag. And I don't blame him. Because it ain't worth dying about once you see you can't beat this dude. He saw he couldn't beat the dude. It's not worth me giving my life for it. He ain't even on that dude level. So it's not worth him getting messed up over. So he waved the flag, which was a smart thing. Now he get to come back and fight another thing. You got to save your fighter yourself from him having to wave the flag. He shouldn't have had to throw the flag in. But because y'all didn't save him, y'all forced him to have to throw the flag in.
It's been a heated discussion since this past weekend's contest between Boots and Xander. The perception that Xander Zayas waved the white flag in the 7th, that he quit. That's what Devin Haney thinks. That's what Roy Jones Jr. thinks.
They think he quit.
They think he folded. They think he gave in and gave up. I think the question isn't whether or not he waved the white flag. It looks like he did. The question is whether or not he was right to do it, and I think he was. I mean, it was a losing effort. He'd already been knocked down 3 times. He's only 23 years old. You have to leave something for later. You have to try to live to fight another day. We can all romanticize going out on your shield,
but that offers very little in terms of consolation for what it could cost you in the long run. I think he did the right thing. I think he fought bravely. I think he fought well, but he's got to live to fight another day, and I don't hold that against him.
Roberto Duran, widely considered the greatest lightweight that ever lived, and an all-time great boxer overall, was said to have quit in the 2nd Ray Leonard fight.
The No Mas fight.
Still went on to have a career after that, moved all the way up to the middleweight division, where he gave Harvin Magler all that he could handle, and in the end, he's still considered an all-time great, in spite of quitting.
Daniel Dubois was said to have quit in the Joe Joyce fight, then again in the first Alexander Usyk fight, but look at him now. A 2-time heavyweight champion, so perhaps time is a little bit more kind to these fighters who are said to have quit than people initially let on. In the moment, they act like you ran over somebody's cat.
Like it's capital murder, a cardinal sin. Perhaps for a fighter, in some ways it is. It's just not something that psychologically you want to get in the habit of doing, that when the going gets tough,
that's the danger.
You don't tough it out, you give in, you give up.
It's not something you want to get in the habit of doing when so much of this sport relies upon what you're willing to give, subject yourself to, voluntarily. You have to want to be there.
You don't want to get in the habit of giving in, and I understand that. But I think that Xander made a wise decision this past Saturday, and something that he can learn from.
Because this can be a learning experience for him just as much as people want it to be an indictment.
A strike against him. In living to fight another day, he can perhaps make it up another day, redeem himself another day.
In some other way, with some other fighter in some other fight. I don't hold it against Xander. I think he fought bravely, but in the end, he did what he had to do.
Which ain't always easy.